Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
Today we're taking a look at the Cities of Splendor expansion for Splendor. It's a little redundant, Space Cowboys, don't you think?
It's a great name. If you have not yet watched our thoughts on the base game of Splendor, I really suggest you do that before you watch this because I don't like Splendor, he does like Splendor. So my question to you is, does this make his opinion of Splendor better, and does this change my opinion of Splendor? Let's find out.
It's not really a question for you. It's
a question for me.
Us,
yeah, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Find out. Does this expansion make the game better or worse for someone who likes the game or doesn't like the game? There's so many options there.
Yeah.
4.
It's almost 3 options.
So in Cities of Splendor, instead of just being an expansion, it's actually a 4-part modular expansion where they don't recommend mixing them together. Some of them you can, some of them you actually can't. I haven't actually mixed any together. I've just played all 4 of them separate. But if you want to try it, if you love Splendor and this is like the game on your shelf, sure, mix it up. Try different things. Make up your own rules. Make your own cards. Get those like write your own cards and be like, this one's a red and it costs 1 white, 2 greens, 4 reds, and a purple.
Throw Splendor away.
It's a good game. Like, give it a chance.
Don't buy it, yeah. Honestly, I still sat down, almost like in my head, I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm not going to like it either way. But like as I was playing, I was like, okay, come on. Have an open mind, Tom. Really try and have an open mind.
You kind of did.
And there was one that I actually enjoyed. It made me, I think I am most likely to play Splendor again if we did the, what is this one
Trading
called?
Post.
The Trading Post.
So we're going to talk about that one first.
Yeah!
So the Trading Post just gives you different abilities in the game depending on what cards you have. So there's 5 different abilities you get, and they give you if you have this combination of cards, that unlocks that ability. So there's one that gives you additional gems. You get gems when you purchase cards. It makes the gold worth a lot more.
Yeah.
It makes it so that you can reserve a lord, or it just gives you more points for the abilities that you've unlocked. Reserve a lord? No. If you have a lord, you get additional points for it.
Right.
I never used that ability, actually.
This module is definitely what I wanted base game Splendor to be. My biggest complaint from the other video is saying that, I always felt like the actions are the exact same. Okay, so I'm going to take some gems or get a card, and take some gems and get a card, and take some gems, and ooh, this card lets it, I don't have to take as many gems. Like, it just felt boring, and I was doing the same thing. And here I had abilities, and my actions were different. Ooh, I get to take 2 gems and this. At least that's a little bit different. Ooh, these are now worth more money. Okay, so wait, now that changes things. So I could spend this here and I could spend that there. Or like the take a
Every
gem.
time you buy a card,
Every time you buy a card,
you
take a gem. Words are hard. Like, at least it felt like my actions were different. They were different from the base game, but they're also different from what he can do. So I'm now capitalizing on an ability and a type of action that I can take that he can't. And that was a little bit more interesting to me. You can get to them real fast, so like you're thinking about them early on and you start, I felt accomplishment. That's probably the biggest thing, the biggest negative I had from the base game. This makes me feel accomplishment when I do things.
And it's nice because, like he said, you're not all going to unlock the same abilities simultaneously. Kind of there's different abilities for playstyles. So you can kind of be like, oh, I really like preserving cards, so the one I really want is making that gold coin worth 2 instead of just 1. That's huge, because if you're trying to get like that 7-point card, or that card that costs like 7 whites and 3 blues, having 7 whites, especially in a 2-player game, there's only 4 on the table, so you need to have those 4 and all 3 gold, or you can have like 2 of those and then some cards that give you whites, making those gold. So to get 7, you need 3 gold and 1 white. Like that's astronomically different. And then there's the ones that, like, you get to take extra gems, or if you buy cards, you get one. So almost like you have to have it, but it can reduce the cost of a card or get you moving faster towards another one. And I think that really does add a level to the game without, like, really changing the strategy. It just gives you a, like, smaller strategy to go for while you're going. I think it really encourages you to buy a lot of the small point cards, or the no point cards that are really cheap, because you can unlock these abilities, and then with these abilities, and then that engine built to the small no-point cards, you're kind of moving a lot faster than someone who didn't, and they're just trying to go for that big card. So it is a good it kind of picks up the game. I think in the rules they say this one's meant to help the game go faster, and I think it definitely does that.
It also, like you said, it makes the 0-point cards a lot more relevant because you're trying to get those a lot faster. So it got rid of that well, it didn't get rid of it, but it felt like it was a much less threat of just, boom, here's my 6-point card. You know, we were both like, buy this, buy that, buy that, buy that. So it did feel faster, but it also felt like I was doing more on a turn. I wasn't just slowly gathering gems so I could spend them on the really big card that I wanted.
So my favorite module in this expansion is definitely the Orient. And this adds 2 new columns to each row. So there's now 6 in a row instead of 4. And they have new abilities on them. And some of the cards have like 2 gems. Some of the cards have 2 gold coins that you then burn that card to spend those coins. They have like basically a wild that you can attach to any other gem you have. They have the ones where you can like burn cards to get new cards, or if you buy this card, you get a cheaper card for free. So there's a lot more things you can do, and it adds 6 more cards to the game.
This is definitely my second favorite. It does change the game a lot. It definitely adds a lot more options, and those cards are really interesting. And I was even saying to Wes, I was like, because they have the red backgrounds, and I was saying, oh, they could have made them the same color, and you just mix them into the deck and shuffle them up and draw out 6 more cards. But this ensures that they're always going to be out there. So it really does make the game, your strategies are different. You know, that 2 gold, that's a really powerful card, especially because you can, you're kind of limited to 3 gold in the base game, but now you can have 5 gold or 7 gold. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. It's hard to pull off, but it is really powerful. And it's not to say that if you never buy one of those cards, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, because you actually went a whole game, and I don't think you touched them.
Yeah. Well, I kept thinking about them. They were options, but also I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. So you're going to think about them a lot. You're going to be enticed by them, but it's not going to be like, ooh, now these are the cards that everybody's going for.
Unless you're me. I think these cards are awesome. It's kind of, when I play this game, and it could just be because it's different, but I do kind of focus on these cards. And you could spend 3 reds to get 2 gold, and so you're spending 3 to get 2. So unless you're already set up for that, and someone buys the card that you were going for, it may not be the best strategy, but it does give you that option of, if someone bought the card, oh, well, now I can go and do this. So while it doesn't add a dominant strategy to the game, it definitely gives you a lot more options, and it lets you have a little bit of variability to your strategy. And like Tom said, because they're red-backed, they have to be out there. I think that was a genius choice, because honestly, with these kind of games, if I shuffled it up and dealt out 6 cards, and none of them were the expansion cards, I'd be like, let's just put these in the bottom and deal out again, because you don't want to add an expansion and then never see those cards. That's why that's one of my problems with promo cards. Oh, I got this one promo card, I'm going to put it in the deck, and it never turns up. Yeah. So they definitely ensure that those are going to be out there. I think that my favorite of those, but besides the 2 gold, is the burn 2 cards to get a card. Burn 2 diamonds to get this card.
Yeah, I remember really surprised when I saw that, because I'm like, oh, that's not a difference up top with the reward. It's a different way to obtain the card.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really clever.
So actually, one of the games I was playing at Simon Expo, that's how I won the game, because I bought a bunch of the really cheap no-point cards to let me get lords and buy my big point cards. And then I had no gems, and they were like, okay, well, he's not going to do anything for a while. And then I just started trashing the no-point cards to get these other big cards, and I shot ahead when they thought they weren't even thinking about me. So really, really cool, the new mechanics that adds to buying cards.
Orient and Trading Post, 2 really awesome modules that I would like to include in every game every time I sit down to play this game, which is going to be rare still, probably. I would really want those to be included. But let's talk about those other 2 modules.
Yeah, so Cities isn't bad. I feel like it doesn't really add a whole lot to the game. It replaces the lords, and it gives you a new goal. It changes the win condition of the game. So instead of just trying to get points, you need a certain number of points and a certain combination of cards. Which that's really great. But I didn't really feel like it changed a whole lot for me at the end of the day. Yes, if you just feel really lost in Splendor, and it's those 12 cards out there overwhelm you, and you're like, oh, well, there's 12 cards out there. What do I buy? What do I go for? How do I get this? It does help you kind of channel that. And you can, if I'm going for just a 17-point card, and you're like, oh, well, I have 11 points in this combination, so I get this and I win. Like, great. So you technically have less points than me, but you still won the game. Cool.
Alternate win conditions are fun in games. It's very clever. I usually tend to enjoy them. However, I almost have no comment on this expansion because it's like, so here's what's different. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't change the game that much. It just gives you feel like you're playing something different.
The fourth and final module, we saved the worst for last. The Strongholds, to me, felt like a penalty while playing this game, which I already don't like doing it. And then now I'm being forced to do even more like restrictive actions because you put those Strongholds down and it's blocking another player, which I like blocking other players, but if Wes has a thing, I'm like, okay, well now that's limiting my options. In a game where you want to like increase your options and really kind of go whoa, 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 I'm going, no, can't. And actually, the whole first time I was playing this, I played it wrong because I thought when you had the 3 Strongholds on a card, you just get that card for free. It just allows you to purchase 2 cards at the same time that you have the resources for. And I was like, oh, so what you're really telling me is not only am I limiting options and doing an extra thing to try and get a bonus, that bonus, really not that great anyways.
Like, I have seen players use that bonus and use it well, and it helps them in the game. But I feel like this strategy just adds so much like thinking and strategy to the game, and not the same kind of strategy. It's just a very different strategy. I feel like it changes the game into something it's not. It almost like overcomplicates the game in a bad way. You know, I feel limited. I feel like you have to put yours out there, and a lot of times like I don't really want to put it out there. I don't want to move it. I like it where they are. And I played this game at Gen Con with Forrest from Bowers Game Corner and a couple other people, and it was pretty unanimously like our least favorite. Like, we were all just like, if they didn't include this in the box and it was just a 3-module expansion, it would not devalue this for me at all. I played it with Tom again to like help us get ready for a review. That's probably the last time I'll ever play with that one. So, I mean, I'm sure there may be players out there who really like that, and maybe that like fixes the game for them, but I have not met one yet.
Overall, as a whole, at the end of the day, when the chips are down and it's money's, do I like this expansion? Does this change my view of Splendor? Yes and no. Does it change my view of Splendor? Yes. Does it bring it from hate to love? No. It puts it towards the middle for me. Like I already said that I am willing to play Splendor, right? When there's a group who's like, do you want to play it? I'm like, okay. Somewhat reluctantly, but sure. I mean, I don't love the game, but fine. With this expansion, especially if it is the Trading Post or the Orient or both, then I'm like, all right, fine. I can deal with that. I'm okay with that. It puts it at a solid 5 or 6 for me, you know? Like, all right, let's do this. Those other 2 modules, couldn't care less, and it's still a game where, you know, I'm perfectly fine not having the game in my collection at all, but Wes, you say some words now.
Well, I do almost want to play a game with you with the Trading Post and the Orient and the Strongholds, because we kind of went through everything, and there's no reason you can't mix all 3 of those together. It would make gold hella powerful if you had the double gold cards and each gold, because those are now quadruple gold cards. Like, that would just be insane, but it might make the game like add enough to it to make you like it. I think that this expansion is definitely, like, if you like Splendor, you need this expansion, because I feel like I like the game. I can still get bored with it. I can play 2 games in a row, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good for that to go back to my shelf for a month or 2. Like, I don't want to play this game every week. I don't want to play it every night, for sure. This expansion, especially being modular, just helps you mix things up. And not just like, oh, it adds something to the game, but it adds 4 different things to the game at different times. So you can now play 5 games of Splendor back to back, and they're technically all different. Now, I still don't want to play 5 games of Splendor back to back with this, but I do think that the module expansion helps. And if you do play this game once a week, picking 1 expansion a week, like, it just helps give you more variability to the game and kind of makes the game something new every time you play it. Not every time you play it, but every 5 times you play it or whatever. I do kind of wish there's a really nice insert in both these boxes. It holds sleeved cards. Everything's like kind of sorted out. All the different modules have their place. There's no reason why all of this stuff can't fit in a box half this size. So I kind of wish that they like made an insert for it that like held everything in one box, because you really don't need two boxes. Like, you know, most like Broken Token and all the little insert companies all make like little travel boxes for this that are like this big. That's all the space you need. So, I mean, I'm sure one of them, if they haven't already, is going to make an insert for one of these boxes that holds everything nice and organized. I kind of wish they had put that in there.
And I will thoroughly agree with Wes that if you do like Splendor, yeah, you need this expansion. This really does pump the game up for fans, definitely. Like, the fact that it brought me from not liking it all to, like, even mediocre, that's saying something, okay? I don't change my opinion very often. But if you do like Splendor, then you really have to have this in your collection. Go ahead and click on the link down below and get yourself a copy.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, so you'll never be bored. Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
I wasn't ready, sorry. Oh. Ooh, yeah. Do you want to switch sides?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm not.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom. I threw you off.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Aaron.
Nope.
Nope.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm not.